So, good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out. So my name's David Lucchino, and I have the pleasure to be here today. So first, I want to thank our outgoing chair, Abby Saunecker, for her leadership on the board and the incredible work that she's done spearheading really the idea of inclusion in the biotech industry. Such an important point. Abby, I look forward to continuing this work and continuing to rely on your leadership as well, so thank you so much. So it's an honor to serve as chairman of the board, which represents the most important life science cluster and community in the world. And I truly believe that. And it's the most important life science cluster and community, not because our buildings are the tallest or our labs are the best, because we focus on helping patients. I'd also like to thank my fellow board members for their dedication, and of course Bob Coughlin and his outstanding team, who really worked tirelessly to advance the organization on behalf of the 1,100 members that make up MassBio. And just as a point of context, about a decade ago, we had half that number of members here participating, and so the growth has really been phenomenal. Thank you, Bob. So I'm the CEO of a company called Frequency Therapeutics, a spin-out from MIT and Harvard Medical School. We're really focused on small molecule-based regenerative medicine. We do this by targeting small molecules at certain genes and receptors and doing this all within the body. Our first two programs are focused on hearing regeneration and multiple sclerosis. But really what I want to talk to you today about, for those that don't know me, is really being a cancer survivor. 6 years ago, at the age of 42, I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, the second most common blood cancer only behind non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And here's the amazing part. What would have been a death sentence for me, truly a death sentence for me a decade or two ago, is now managed as a chronic disease. And it's important to know for this audience that many of the innovations that saved my life, though one in particular, were championed by fixers of our very own life science community. Dr. Ken Anderson at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and Dr. Julian Adams from Harvard Medical School. They refused to give up on a drug called Velcade. Velcade is an improved inhibitor of the proteasome, which is essentially the garbage disposal unit of the cell. Championed by Drs. Anderson and Adams, Velcade is now a billion-dollar drug, marketed and produced by Takeda, though many years its future was highly uncertain. Dr. Adams had been part of 2 failed companies when developing Velcade, and if it wasn't for his steadfast belief in Dr. Anderson's support, it still might be sitting on a lab shelf instead of successfully treating men and women who are fighting multiple myeloma. I know their tenacity saved my life and the lives of thousands of people. And very ironically, tenacity is probably one of the most important traits you could have in being in the life sciences, because the problems and the riddles we try to solve every day are very hard. And it truly takes a community working together to try to address and solve those. So I'm entering the 5th year of a clinical trial sponsored by Celgene. Everything's going very well. And I can't thank the physicians, the technicians, and the nurses at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute for their outstanding care. You don't go through the experience of being a patient on your own. Your friends and family step in. And I owe a deep debt of gratitude to my best friend, my wife, Carrie Beth Lucchino, who's here with me this morning. When I face the challenges, as many of us do, of the mental, and the mental is so very important and so difficult, and physical challenges posed by a life-threatening illness, it was really Carrie's love and support and consistency and compassion that really made all the difference for me. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention in October, Carrie Beth gave birth to our son, Jackson David Lucchino, and so I obviously feel truly blessed. Thank you, Carrie. My personal experience as a cancer patient continues to shape my work in the life science community. My belief in a patient-centered approach to discovery, with an emphasis on working on the work of practitioners and treatments for patients, is paramount to our success. As a cancer patient and a biotech CEO, I've followed the advice of my mentor, Bob Langer, who very early on in my career said to me, "Hey, Lucchino, it's not about how much money you can make when you're working in these life sciences companies. It's about how many people you can positively impact." A very powerful and very true sentiment, and particularly true if you know Dr. Langer. I think of any biotech CEO's role is driven to helping patients. To do this, we have to understand our organizations work best when we work together. And that's why this community, we're not just a cluster, but we're a community that truly works well together with one another. And so the goal of helping people and bringing shared values forward is really the strength of so much of what we do. So I want to shift for a second and talk about the strength of our Massachusetts economy, and specifically the biotech sector. And this really means that it's a very good time to consider how we could expand and enhance opportunities. Specifically, how we can improve our outreach to underrepresented individuals and communities. And I just want to take a very brief look at what this means and what are we already doing. So I applaud Bob and Abby for their 2017 results because we have some real issues we have to address, and we are addressing them head on, like any good scientist, any good engineer would do. We look at the data, we see it, and we propose solutions. So MassBio shared the results of a study that revealed a staggering gender gap in the life sciences. Although women make up half the entry-level positions in the biotech industry, they fill only 20% of the senior leadership slots and 10% of the board seats. Our challenge is how to work with our organizations to use these findings to expand opportunities for women at all levels of the life sciences. The study also highlighted a woeful lack of racial and ethnic diversity in the life sciences, which it called a problem that is visible to all. Our industry needs to continue to fulfill its promise to help people at all socioeconomic levels. More than 20% of the residents of Boston live below the poverty line, according to the U.S. Census Bureau of Statistics. Clearly, proximity to the life sciences boom alone is not enough to spread the wealth. So during the next 2 years, I'd like to ratchet up the impact of some strategically aligned organizations engaged in expanding these benefits on behalf of our life sciences. First, we have a wonderful organization. It's a separate organization from MassBio, but strategically aligned, MassBioED, with its outstanding leader, Peter Hebert. And this is an organization that focuses every day on working with educators throughout the Commonwealth to improve the pathway from the classroom to careers in the life sciences. Secondly, we have Life Sciences Cares, founded by the dynamic Rob Perez, the former CEO of Cubis Pharmaceuticals, and led by Sarah McDonald, which steers a collective industry effort to eliminate the impact of poverty on our neighbors in the greater Boston area. With funding from MassBio and many other organizations in the life sciences, Life Science Cares recently donated $300,000 to 19 social service organizations devoted to health, education, development of people in need. And finally, the Massachusetts Life Science Center, under the very skilled leadership of Travis McCready, is at the center of several strategic initiatives to diversify the ranks of our industry. For example, the center's internship challenge has funded more than 3,300 internships at more than 680 companies throughout Mass in 2009. And its 5-year, $1 million Massachusetts Next Generation initiative is committed to advancing greater gender parity in the next generation of life science entrepreneurs. Travis, thank you for all your help and continued leadership. There's no doubt that these groups are doing meaningful work. One of my first initiatives is to bring all these leaders together from these organizations to examine how we could expand our impact into an even closer working partnership amongst the three of these groups. So specifically, I believe we also need to look at ways to develop a more seamless pipeline that connects our industry to a talent pool not only at our great colleges, universities, but also outstanding talent being developed at community colleges and technical schools. Where there's much work to be done, we are well positioned to expand our industry's effort to increase the access for all to our industry, from holders of an associate's degree to a PhD, from Cambridge to Mattapan, from Worcester to Springfield. Access to our industry should not be driven by one's station in life, either by birth or circumstance. Rather, the metric should be one's intellectual resolve, work ethic, and ability to be an impactful problem solver. People drive our industry, and they're the common bond for everything we do. And that's why we're the most important life science cluster in the world, because we put people and patients first. Thank you very much.